Welcome to CSEC Biology TCP. I am Mr. Wilson from the TCP Academy. You can find us online at tcp-academy.teachable.com. Today we're going to be looking at the mark and recapture sampling technique from the ecology section of your CXC Biology syllabus. That's section A. Mark and recapture. How to find the estimated number in a population using the mark and recapture technique. Now we're going to be using this formula n equal m multiplied by c divided by r. That is supposed to return a answer. N stands actually for the estimated number of organisms in a population, while M represents the number of organisms captured and marked, or one would say the number of organism captured and marked on day 1. On day 2, we'll have C. That's the total number of organisms captured in the second sample or the sample that goes after we would have marked. Now, here we're going to be paying attention to the organisms that are captured that are marked and those that are unmarked. In the same breath, we are also going to be looking at the number of organisms captured or recaptured, in a matter of fact, with mark. Last year, many students differed on their CXC exams as they were afraid of failure due to their level of readiness. This year, Mr. Wilson and his experienced team from tcpacademy.teachable.com is here to help you get exam ready. Subscribe for free to tcp-academy.teachable.com. We offer courses in CXC Biology, HSB, English Language, and many others. There are several offerings to each course. Enroll in one today. Let's look at the animation for day 1. You'll have to pay close attention to what's happening. We're looking at a habitat and we have simplified it for you. The organisms are moving across and they are being marked and released to be recaptured. The sole intent is to find out the number of organisms in the population, and we're using a slug here from phylum Mollusks. And of course, the kingdom is Animalia. Now make sure that when you mark these organisms, what you're using to mark will not allow the organism to stand out to predator. So the scent should not be such that it will attract a predator. Neither should the color be. Here we're using green. Now the organism should not be armed, and you should only sample the number of organisms that is pretty much needed for that particular sample. So the organisms are crawling across the screen and then they are captured and marked and then released. So the organisms continue to move across the habitat, and your sole duty here is to pay keen attention to what is happening, which means that you need to count the organism, and it's also important for you to look at the color that is used to mark the organism. If you observe, the organism has been marked on the shell, particularly because this is a invertebrate and we really don't want to damage this organism, so we would have placed the mark in an area that would not, of course, affect the organism. So as we mark for day 1, we are counting and recording the number of organisms that are being marked for the sample. Now, this is from your CSEC syllabus or the CXC Biology syllabus. It is a required practical for completion of the CXC course. So it's very important for you to pay attention to the particular practical so you can master it. Now we're going to be looking at what happens on day 2. And here we're going to now be paying attention to the organisms that are recaptured, meaning that they have mark, like the one that's coming on the screen. And we're also going to be looking at those organisms that we're seeing for the first time, meaning that they have no mark, like the second organism coming on the screen. It is true to say that we have slowed down this experiment, and we're going to be stopping the organism on screen as it is an animation to make the process of counting and recording easy for everyone. So there we have 2 organisms that were recaptured, And another, a third is on screen that is recaptured. A fourth is on screen, which is recaptured. How do we know? They all bear that green mark. And we also have two organisms that we're seeing for the first time. Here goes another organism that we are recapturing from the first set that we actually marked. And we are observing and paying keen attention to see if there's any other. Yes, there goes another organism that was in the first sample. And we're still paying keen attention to see what's happening if there are any other organism that is pretty much a part of this sample. We're seeing other organism coming on screen, and this organism is not marked. It means, therefore, that this is a capture. We're seeing this organism for the first time. And the organisms that were captured in sample one, they are turning up on our screen. So now we have a good chance of documenting them. And here we have a whole lot of organism coming out at the same time. So we want to make sure that we're able to do the distinction. We must be able to identify this type of organism that has no mark on it versus this organism which has a mark on it. So we're seeing you have to count the number of organisms here with mark versus those without mark. Now that information is going to be very, very important. The total number versus those that are marked versus those that are not marked. That's going to be needed for your calculation. So recapture, we need to count the number of organisms that we have here that are recaptured. And the recaptured organisms are going to be those organisms that would bear that green mark. So we move right on into the sample, and you will observe here that we are going through the answers. N is the estimated number of organisms in the population, and we actually marked 10 organisms. Check your notes to see if that's the number of organisms you saw going across the screen. And then the amount of organisms which were captured in the second sample, which include organisms that are captured for the first time versus those that are recaptured. So we had a total of 14 on day 2. Now, the number of organisms recaptured of those which were marked, we got all the organisms which we marked on day 1, which was, of course, 10. So it means that 4 organisms were pretty much introduced to the second sample. That means for our calculation here, the number or the estimated number of organisms in the population is going to be equal to 40. All right, so this is not a constant. It is always going to be dependent on the number of organisms you sample, the number of organisms that turn up in your second sample, be that they are marked or not marked. I am Mr. Wilson from the TCP Academy. You can find us on YouTube at CSET Biology TCP. To find us on the internet, we are at tcp-academy.teachable.com. Please follow us for more videos on CXC Biology. Thanks for watching, and be reminded to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know how this video went for you.